Like The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett's series premiere treated its viewers to a very cool new Star Wars monster. Or was it so new? Was this a creature simply created for the Book of Boba Fett, or was it something pulled out of existing Star Wars lore? That's what we'll be talking about today. Hey guys, this is Justin. Hello and welcome to another video. So we're going to be talking about this creature from the Book of Boba Fett's first episode. We'll break it down and I'll give my best guess at what it might be. And the answer is quite simple. This is the Pokemon Machamp. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. No, for real though, I find this monster very interesting because, as a lot of people have pointed out, it's got a sort of Ray Harryhausen quality to it. You might not know that name, but you definitely recognize some of Ray Harryhausen's creatures, even if you haven't seen the actual films. The monster is similar in a way because it has almost simple and over-exaggerated features. Look at its mouth and the ridges alongside the bottom of its head and its large eyes. Superficially, there's obviously some connection to the Centaur, but I think better comparisons are the Ymir and definitely the Kraken from Clash of the Titans. Anyway, this is definitely a bit of an aside from the actual lore, which we'll get to in a second, but I do think this is an interesting discussion, and part of the reason why I like the creature so much is it reminds me a lot of early Star Wars, and especially in New Hope, where things literally would be repurposed from other movies and thrown into the scene. Now, not to this extent, but in that way, for me at least, it's a cool homage and I really like it. I also think that style of animation still holds up really well, so it's cool to see it almost translated to a new medium. So, the creature itself, what is it? Does it already exist in Star Wars? So the first thing I always do when I have a question like this for The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, where there's something mysterious I want more information about, is turn on the audio descriptions. And not to toot my own horn, but that's why I was probably the first YouTuber to point out that they were in fact dark troopers in The Mandalorian. This creature is called a Behemoth. Now, Behemoth is a weird word because it can be used as a proper noun or also an adjective or a generic term even. It's definitely very Ray Harryhausen-esque. So I guess that's the simple answer. If we're going by the audio descriptors, is this an existing creature? No, it's a behemoth, and we'll maybe learn more about that in the future. But let's dig a bit deeper. Is there a comparable in Star Wars Legends to the Behemoth, even with a different name? I think it's important for comparison's sake to establish the fundamental characteristics of the monster, because obviously this hasn't appeared on screen before, so we'll be looking at sometimes even indirect, simple one-line descriptions for a comparison point. So the monster is obviously incredibly strong. It has 6 limbs. It's probably an apex predator. It looks to me like it's evolved from some sort of snake or lizard, and I think most importantly, the killing of this beast is held in really high regard by the Tusken Raiders. It's enough to get Boba's release, and when the Tusken child brings it back to camp, they're clearly more impressed in the killing of it rather than interested in its carcass for food or whatever else. The first place I checked after listening to the audio description was the Illustrated Field Guide, which has an entire section on Tatooine, and there's nothing remotely similar to this. I also checked the Galaxy Guide for Mos Eisley, which covers some general stuff about Tatooine as well. And although there was a really cool image of an ancient space station over Tatooine being destroyed, and a nice sand snake, no Goro from Mortal Kombat type beast. I then checked the Jarek pieces because of the sort of stop motion like quality to the monster, and there's nothing really there. I then took some time, went to the Star Wars wiki. I looked at every creature under the category of native to Tatooine, nothing really there. Next was the Gundark, and Gundarks have some basic similarities to this monster, primarily the 6 limbs and the strength, but I don't think this is a Gundark. The 6 limbs thing is a creation of the expanded universe, and if they wanted to create that creature and bring it into live action, they surely would have brought with it other characteristics, like it being more of a mammal type thing, it being hairy, it having big strong forearms, and there's also the fact that this thing doesn't really have ears that you would pull off. And of course, that's the famous line. No, the Behemoth probably has more snake-like canals or ear apertures. That's not really something you'd pull off a thing, so unless it's a saying meant in jest, like milking a bull, I don't think this is a Gundark. One interesting possibility, however, was suggested to me on Twitter by Emergent Access 810, and they said that they've seen some conversation about it being perhaps a Logra. I hadn't heard of that species before. Thankfully, I had every bit of canon and Legends material that it appears in, and it's just a few lines lines, but here are the basics. There are definitely some similarities. In the novel Kenobi, Logra are described as burrowing predators with a taste for merchants. They come out of the ground and it sort of seems almost like a sandworm. Interestingly, that novel also says that on some occasions where there weren't enough crate dragons, Logra were actually hunted as a obviously lesser alternative. We get a bit more about Logra in the earlier Tales from Jabba's Palace, in that Logra are implied to have legs, as they're described as chasing someone and on another occasion pacing. So basically we have a legged predator that burrows in the sand and is obviously worth high honor to the Tusken Raiders and likes to eat or at least kill people. Could that be the Behemoth? Well, it's the closest comparison I could find of any creature ever being mentioned to live on Tatooine. What do you think though? Will this end up being something new? Will an encyclopedia or other reference book eventually retcon the two creatures to be the same? I look forward to reading all of your thoughts down below. Till next time though guys, have a good one, be safe, and may the Force be with you.